Welcome in, everybody. Let me wipe this off because it looks a little foggy. And again, it could just be how it looks outside right now. But welcome in, everybody. I'm going to just share this very quickly. We've got a lot to talk about when it comes to XRP. Even the further markets when it comes to the metals and just different avenues. What's going on in the general environment when it comes to the the investment opportunities and it's everything in between. Basically, we've got a lot of things that are playing out in front of us right now, and I think it's a cool time to be a part of a community where we can kind of openly discuss this. So see how many people show up, and we'll see what kind of discussion we have today. So welcome in, Mrs. Stott. I appreciate you being here, and thanks for being in Times Under 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Furby Trades Nick, welcome in, and thanks for being in Times Under for over your second month with the Dust Settles Crypto News, and also a very trusted mod in here in the Telegram, Alex Carbonelli. Carbonell, good evening or afternoon now. Good afternoon. Let's see, Crypto Cooter, welcome in, and thanks for being in Times Under 6+ months with the XP Predictor, being a trusted mod. JZ, welcome in. Bounce Back and Bright Future Freedom, All the World Stage and Self-Awareness, thanks for being in Times Under 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Mick Poman, welcome in. Make sure to hit the like button as you come in. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. It would be awesome. Poppy Lou, welcome in, and thanks for being in Town Zone for 6+ months with the XP Predictor, along with Dirty Train Rider. Moza here, welcome in, and thanks for being in Town Zone for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. 2 years with the XRP 589 Moon badge. My mistake. Biggest thing right now is XRP, as we know. If you're paying attention to the charts, it had reversed from a morning low when we were last together at about $2.06 roughly. It went down to somewhere in that range, $2.06-ish. And so far we reversed course. We're at, I wanted to make sure if we were still there, $2.14.1. So this is a critical opportunity. Now, it hasn't validated or, invalidated any kind of movement here. But we need to get above now that we're starting to break up a little bit. We need to get above that $2.17 approximately. We get above $2.17 while holding $2.12. We can start to possibly talk about this reversal back up. And if we did this properly, it would play us back into that $2.50 plus range. It's just we have a lot of work to do right now, so it's not all a cut and dry thing. So during this live, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about what needs to happen a little bit deeper. Open to questions. I would love to see questions, comments. If you want to support the show, there's a bunch of different ways you can do that. You can be a part of the army. You can like, you can comment, you can share. Heck, you can send a Ruby in here and do some cool features on the screen if you want to do it that way. So good afternoon. 12:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Thursday, January 8th, 2026. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. I do agree with that, Nick. A close over $2.14 would be very helpful indeed. Very helpful. It's all an illusion. Welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Mr. Stott, thanks for being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XRP Meteor with Nunya. Leisha, thanks for being in Tom's Army 3+ months with the XRP Meteor. Hello, sir. I've said before, I come for the TA and tune to hear how your family is doing. Hope all is well. Thanks for your dedication to keeping us informed. Oh, I appreciate that. I greatly, greatly appreciate that, Leisha. The family is doing good. He's been in school. This is the 4th day this week. He's done good every single day. No complaints so far this week. Actually pretty happy with how things are going this week. So everything's going good in that regard. Besides the fact that he wanted to get up after a nap yesterday, and he stayed up until like 3:30 a.m., slept for like 3 hours, and then he's like, I'm good. I can go to school. So he's doing good. The girls are doing good. Michaela's getting ready to go back to school on the 11th because she starts back on the 12th. And then Scarlett's doing good. She's still working on her play that's the weekend of Super Bowl, and she's excited about it. So definitely things are going good. Always the daily the same struggles we always have, but everything seems to be in a progressively good loop right now. So we like the good loop times. You know what I mean? We like the good loop. We got to go to his to T's the GI doctor up in Grand Rapids on the 22nd. We'll leave. His appointment's on the 23rd, and then we'll come back home on that Saturday, the 24th. Tom again. Glad I've been off the last couple days. I'm glad to see you in here. It's all an illusion. Crazy Paul, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. It's nice seeing all of you in here, honestly. It's nice seeing you all in here. And Lisha, I appreciate you you appreciating the updates about the family. I do. I really, really do. I think this is the depantsing of retail. It could be. It could be. Of retail and metals. Hashtag can't miss. I know. I know. I don't know. It kind of feels like it. Because trust me, I've been hearing all about it all day. The last few days. Like I said yesterday, I've never seen so many people unanimously just say, I'm done with crypto. I'm buying metals. I'm buying the miners. And it makes perfect sense to me that the miners, even though they pulled back gold and silver, none of the miners are up, which is interesting with how hard of a pullback we've had. On a typical day, the miners would be crushing it right now. It would be crushing it. But Dolly Varden is another, hey, I'm ahead of the pack. I'm down 4.59% today, and I had that inverse head and shoulders. And now I'm dumping out of the ascending wedge we talked about yesterday. It hasn't broke that support, but something tells me something ain't right in that sector. Like, I've been talking about it for days, but we'll see. Because gold's up $4 right now, but it's ironic because none of the gold miners are up. One's even, but even with the beating that's been taking place, I mean, B2 Gold's flat. You know, you would expect one to get out ahead, but it's actually the opposite reaction right now. You've got some of them getting out and ahead to the down direction, which is good for us. Like I've said, I've made it very clear. We need that $77 magnet to keep metals in this price range until we can get a firm rejection here. Because once you get that, it's a quick drop down to $69 and some change. Honestly, if you're looking at the Fibonacci, between the 38.2 and the 50% retracement, I believe it's $66 and then $69 and some odd cents up towards $70 are the two key areas of support to tap, which we haven't done that if we were to break down. So I'm still very interested to see if the miners can pick up some steam here, or if like Dolly Varden's giving us an early warning signal, or some of these other ones, these heavy miners that are down like Hecla and all these other ones, they're trying, but they just can't seem to get over. So we're trying to see if there's an early signal there, which I think there is. And then the same thing with crypto. I think there's an early signal of reversaling happening. And now we're up to 215 for XRP. This is what we want to see what is happening. This is where you get to see what you actually understand of the market. Do you buy in? Like in the metals, a lot of people weren't buying in, but you'll notice retail now, tons of people are going into metals when they weren't even thinking about it before, right? You know, nobody was even thinking about it. Tons of people are buying silver like it's the can't miss trade of the century, and it is. But sometimes, you know, yeah, metals pulled back and recovered. They half the moon now. I can picture people say, oh, they're saying it everywhere. It's crazy. You know how many people are telling me like they're buying silver? I told you, my dad, I was trying to get him to buy more silver because I was quickly outpacing him big time, and I wasn't making a lot of money when I first started doing crypto, or when I first started to get the precious metals. I was just putting a percentage of what I was making from burying cable lines and stuff, and I used to call my dad and be like, Dad, it's $18, it's $14, it's $16. Like, you realize we're getting into this perpetual flow now, and this is before I knew everything I know about crypto and everything else, but I at least understood the metals and, you know, the way that they came out of the ground, even if I fucked up on the miners at times. But, you know, and there was nothing. You know, he bought some, but the amount that he bought was like me buying 50% of what I'm making into this, and he's putting 0.1% kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, you know, all of this started happening, and now all of a sudden silver hit 80, and I won't forget it. I talked to him on the phone. He's like, I'm going to buy some silver. I'm like, are you out of your mind? I'm like, I understand silver at $80. That's still, it's silver, precious metals. Enjoy it. But you didn't buy a bunch of it down there, but now you're going to buy it here? And that's when I said, uh-oh. If we come back up and double top after that drop, it's going to be a problem because retail, this is exactly what, this is the hook. You always come up for the second time, you hook them, and then when it looks like it's about to fall out, you come partially back up a third time, and then you cut them by the nuts. And you always look at the miners first. You always look at the miners for direction. And like for silver, I could see the gold miners not getting hit as hard initially, but the silver miners are the ones we have to look at because that volatility is there. So, but getting off the miners because nobody is here for all the miners in gold and silver. But XRP, I seen a question about. Oh, hold on, let me look up here. About what is the, okay, MQT, where is the CME gap on XRP? $1.99.7 approximately, Nick. I mean, Scotty. About $1.99.7 if you're talking about from last Friday. It's within fractions of a movement from there. So that'll keep you in the right spot, I guess is the best way to say it. Wonder if silver will drag now while crypto runs. That's what we're hoping for. That's the rotation that we really want now. Trading with Jay Ride, thanks for being in town for over 4 years with the XRP Phoenix bet. Says yesterday I spoke with the guy who knows nothing about XRP saying he's about to buy. He's my indicator. Interesting. Interesting. I'm surprised he's willing to buy right here, if I'm being honest. Because actually, it's not the worst spot in the world. What the hell was that? An owl. An owl just went across my screen. 800 rubies. Or 400 rubies, I mean. Holy smokes. It does say 800 jewels. On my top part, it says 400, but on the bottom, it says you sent 800 jewels. I got to make sure I'm telling the right information. Wow, that's incredible. Thank you so much for that. That's unbelievable. Thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate that. I love the owl. Thank you, totally awesome. I appreciate the owl. That was awesome. It went across my screen. I like that very much, actually. I liked how that happened, if I'm being honest. It was nice. I got to see an owl. It's something different, you know. I like that better to get those than super chats, honestly. But anyhow, for XRP though, yeah, we've got all the information. You know, we've got all the levels. So right now what we're trying to do is make sure we hold $2.12 on this push back up. That's why I like these verticals. I can talk like this, but then everybody, instead of just sending a super chat where it just feels like an exchange of money, at least there's something cool that happens. But anyhow, $2.12 is a good starting point. But now, as Nick said on the daily close, yes, staying over $2.14 is going to be a big movement. And then ultimately getting over and staying at $2.17 so we can start the extension back up would be phenomenal. And then we can start talking about $2.50 and so on and so forth kind of thing. So that's something that we're considering right now. If you're watching, make sure that like button, as there's 100 people in here. I'll be darned. Only 46% likes though, so if you hit that like button, it'll ensure we get more people in here. You hit the like button enough, I'll flex. See the hard work? Hey, you can see it better today. Look at that. That's 3 years of working out. I know, I surprise myself now when I see that. I'm always like, is that my muscle? Holy smokes. Now if I took steroids, I could be like 3 times the size, but I can't do that. This is just pure hard dedication. But right now, $2.14.8. So we're kind of in the, wow, Dolly Varden's down 5% right now. That grabbed me by the nuts, honestly. That has literally grabbed my attention. Now, who's here? Who's here of the 96 people? Who holds XRP and is continuing to hold it? Or who's let it go now? I'm just curious. Are you going to continue holding XRP? Exactly, exactly, Nick. Remember how when I would talk gold, silver, commodities, mining stocks, nobody would ever want to talk about it? And now people are literally bringing it not only into the chat, but when you look at social media, they're bringing it up everywhere. And now when you talk about crypto, you notice how many people are telling us that crypto is only going to go down now? And you're starting to see those comments. That's my indicator. Everybody's being selfish in regards to it's not going up fast enough, or it's going up, but it's just coming down. So I'm seeing a big indicator from retail that they're giving up on XRP and crypto right now. And they're ready to pour it all, and they are starting to pour it all in. I've never seen so many people say, I bought silver, but it's at $80. Or I made a deal at 81 or 79. It's like, you made a deal. No offense, everybody, but silver's come up from $18. If you want to be real, it was down to $18 before the push up. So, I mean, yeah, maybe from a calendar year, it's come up from like 24. But man. Exactly, Nick. It does it every single time like a perpetual loop. I love seeing all the people that are holding. I love all the people saying they're holding. I'm holding as well. So I'm holding XRP. So at the very least, this person still believes in it. And I'll continue to believe in it. Because it's the frontier of what we've built throughout our portfolios. And it's what helped us understand all these other tokens as well, because without XRP, I would have never deep dived deeper into the other ones. Oh yeah, if you bought necklaces back in the day, they're definitely going to get their value back now, for sure. There's no doubt about that. What else? What else? Questions? Questions? Anybody have a question? I can only talk about the chart so many times without repeating the same thing. Questions? That's why we're in this setting. I would love anything. Big dog, no XRP. Good info. I like hearing good or bad, whether you hold or not, good or bad, positive, negative. Now I don't really have any intel on Ren, to be honest, Nunya. Wish I did. I don't know what that is. Bitten Sir token. Ooh, that's a question I want. I'm not necessarily asking about all crypto questions, but any kind of question. How do I feel about the 1.5 trillion military budget? It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable because that's about a 50% raise in the budget for the military. And they don't usually expand the military's budget unless there's a propagation of war about to happen. And they don't usually find ways to secure oil by force or by bullying, unless there's the propagation of war. So it makes me nervous. If I'm being honest, it makes this guy a little nervous. So, yeah, they don't usually do that with the propagation of war. You know, there's a reason why they increased that budget by 50%. When I seen it, I'm like, ooh, this is kind of something. This is something. But, you know, everybody who keeps saying, like, they're going to raise interest rates, I don't see how they can do it. Because they've printed so much money. If they raise interest rates, now they got to pay even more. They don't have the money to begin with. So, I mean, there is a combined assault on the U.S. dollar, and we have to acknowledge that. There's no doubt about that. There's a big assault on the U.S. dollar, but when it comes to XRP in this exact moment, there's opportunity if we hold. And guess what? Even if it goes down, this big opportunity still here. It's just now we might have to go down to that descending wedge or the falling wedge that we broke out of the back test, and nobody wants to go out there purposely. Yes, everybody can say it's nice to back test that area, but nobody voluntarily will want to go back down there. Because I'll be honest with you, when you go back down into those areas, there's no guarantee you come out of it the way you went down. Which means you might fall through, and it might not be at $1.80. You might hit that descending wedge at $1.69 as it plays through a couple of weeks till. So, I mean, what are we gonna say? We took it because we need it. You know, the real play is saying we don't even need the oil. This is just a power play. So, I mean, if you ask me. If you are watching, make sure to hit that like button. 60% of you have hit the like button. It really does help push us. Utility coin will recover, period. I agree. I think the utility tokens will be in a very good spot. Mr. Stott said, started selling a few ounces of silver to coworkers who thought I was crazy buying it. So there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I don't sell my physical silver or gold. But, you know, if I did, that would be a great way to do it. Because everybody wants silver and they can trust you. You know, especially retail is infatuated with it. That's what they don't tell you, too. They always say you can't sell the stuff, but go try to find somebody in retail who thought they missed the boat, and they know. You'd be like, hey, I've got some silver to offer you. And then they say, well, how much? Well, guess what, my friend? You're my friend. You go to a pawn shop, you go to JM Bullion, Scottsdale Mint, or some of these major retailers, and right now, let's see, silver's at what, $76.50 an ounce, I think. It was the last time I checked. Does that seem about right still? It was at $76.50 roughly when I came on. Unless it got closer to 77 now, I don't know. Okay, closer to 76, actually, than 77. So, okay, it's at 76.10, we'll say. It's at $76.10. Well, if you go to a pawn shop, they're going to charge you $3, $5. We don't know what it is, what the overage for silver on any given day. I'll give it to you flat right now for 76 bucks an ounce. I know it says 76.10. I'll give it to you for $76 an ounce. How much do you want to owe? 10 ounces? Here, for $760. For $760, I'll give you this 10-ounce bar. And they're like, oh my God, I got a great freaking deal. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you're sitting there going, that's great. I paid $260 for this 10-ounce bar. And you're paying $760 because you didn't want to list, or $710. You know, so. Lucky Guy says, I'm no member, Tom, but watch you a long time. I don't trade, just buy, but I believe your strategy be working. I appreciate you, my friend. Hey. You're part of this army as much as the next person. I've seen you in here for years. For years. I just have to remember your first name, Lucky Guy. I know I've seen that name in here, but it switched your actual name from years ago because YouTube decided to switch it. But I appreciate it. I think we have a sound strategy. I really do. Clink, welcome in. Shane, so glad to see you in here, brother. Man, I love when you come in here. That's just another great addition to the community back in late 24 into 25. So very helpful to everybody. So very helpful. Did they disclose how much USDT was taken from Venezuela yet? I'm not sure about the exact amount yet. I've been hearing speculation, but nothing major. I get the thoughts, question about Flare all the time. I'm not interested in Flare. There's too much nonsense with the just willingness to expand this token circulating supply, which is no different than printing money. If you keep printing the supply for free without people even have to buy it, that's different than people even buying it into existence. You're giving it out for free with no value except what's given to it on the point of, except on the moment when it's put on the market. So that, to me, that's not a good business model if I'm being honest. So unless it's real cheap, I only have sometimes wrote it for swing trades. But other than that, I'm not interested. I feel like it's a scam play. Why waste my money? But that's my opinion. I'm not a financial advisor, so what do I really know? Like, you guys have to make your own decision. I'm not a financial advisor. Tom, my question is, what will gold and silver look like to be 40 to 1 in your opinion? You know, I've asked myself that question a lot. And right now it was getting too close together, and the common logic would be that gold's going to pump much harder than silver right now, but I kind of, if we're getting a topping formation in any regard, and gold can still come up a couple $100 in this rising, what looks like a wedge or something, but it could very well be in the short term what ends up happening is silver falls out, it pushes it back to like 65 or 68 to 1 and back test that range. Gold's falling too, but at maybe a 5 to 1 rate, so maybe every 4 to 5% silver were to fall. No, it would have to be like 3 to 4% silver fell, gold would fall a percent. And then maybe you get like a 15% total correction with silver from where it's at now. Or you go to 66, and then maybe gold stays at around 38. Or 4,100, better yet. Maybe it stays at that 4,100. But then on the next push up to 100, just because of the veracity of, silver pushing up that, it'll probably be that $100. It'll be $100 if I'm thinking of this right, to get to 40 to 1. It would probably be the $100, or maybe it would be silver if it ends up breaking that and we get to $125 silver on some kind of volatile movement and $5,000 gold. I could see that being some kind of viability, depending on how fast of a shift we could have here. Now, a lot of this plays into the fact that we need to create new buyers. And I'm not talking about retail. I'm talking about a new buying level for institutions. So don't be surprised if silver just ends up falling out. Like I can't watch it in real time because I don't have my, I think it was $76.10 when we just talked about it. But watch for the aggressive move back down. If 77 is a magnet, we tried to get up there, couldn't get past there again. Every time I got up there a couple days ago, it's cemented itself back within it. So, you're welcome, Shane. I appreciate you thanking me for everything I do. I appreciate that. I really do. Thoughts on ZBAC? I like ZBCN. I do. We had a great moment in 25. We made a couple X on ZBCN a couple times around because we ended up finding a good spot in the pattern. I don't hate it. I like it. There's a lot of connection to Ripple. It's just my plan right now in the volatility is I like to have XRP, XLM, XDC, HBAR, and Algo when we had these big drops. And right now that's the focus. I do have a couple other tokens, but I don't really talk about them. Like you guys know about XRP Healthcare, you know about Epic and B-Chain, and CRO because of just by, the fact it's got to be on there. The threat of war is why I'm mostly out of crypto. And I understand that. I really do. I do understand that. High price silver metals equals unlimited supply. In the future, they will only be valued for utility, and the utility includes jewelry. You're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that. The one number that I keep looking at with $69, you know why that's a crazy price? Do you remember Samsung when they were acquiring all that silver? What they agreed with that Mexican mine? $69 an ounce. The key level to back test right now just happens to be $69 an ounce. Isn't that crazy? It's almost like they knew what was going to happen. So that's why I continue to look at that level. And then I looked at the call options that were taken out by retail on the big drop. And a lot of the call options, they're going to get absolutely obliterated if we come down under $70. Obliterated. That's retail, though. Retail, I've never heard so many people say, it's so easy to take out call options in silver and just do it for $100 and just, but the capital requirements again now went up for silver. Did anybody hear this for the call options? What was the capital requirement raised to on silver if you hold call options? And they just raised it again.
The CME Group raised the margin for standard silver futures from $20,000 to $25,000 per 5,000 minus ounce contract, with some.
Okay, what percentage did it raise up to now? And this is big. Come on, do your search and find my info.
As of January 8th, 2026, the CME Group has implemented a massive 47.7% increase in the margin requirements for silver, bringing the capital requirement for a standard 5,000 ounce contract to $32,500. This is the latest and most aggressive move in a series of hikes intended to curb extreme volatility and deleverage the market after silver prices spiked toward $84 per ounce.
Do you know what this is equivalent to? This is the equivalent of halting a market and turning off the buys and only letting sellers start to come through. The capital requirement is like 43% now. That is insane. That's insane. That's an insane requirement. That forces people to deleverage and sell. That's how you artificially reverse a market. And those are things you have to look for, especially when you're seeing signs of topping. Are they forcing it? And that's what's happening. And that's a dangerous road because until it gets down to their direct target, you end up falling into a little trap here with silver and gold, and not so much gold, but mostly silver. Silver's the one where we can fall into these traps. So I don't know how it's going to play out here in the next couple of days. But I do know they're trying every trick in the book right now to artificially drive this price to a level where they can afford the demand. But remember, we also have to remember, if it was apples to apples, I wouldn't think like this. But it's also the fact that we've got a lot of banks that if it goes up too high in silver, that sweet spot is $77. When it's over 77, you get a lot of margin calls. Then you have the reverse repos over the weekend. That means the banks are insolvent, and a lot of them put on put options. Put options during this entire run up, and they're getting hammered. Well, J.P. Morgan, even though he has put options, or the entity J.P. Morgan has a put options a lot on silver. J.P. Morgan was smart enough back in 22 and 3 and especially 4 to buy a bunch of silver. So, yeah, this is live in vertical mode. I am live. I did a horizontal live for about an hour earlier, and then I like to come back now. I started this yesterday and talk like this. It gives a different perspective for me, and I think the viewers as well. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it every way. So if J.P. Morgan, they bought a bunch of silver bullion. So then when they get, my theory is, if they got margin called, they would have enough silver to deliver it. And they'll just continue to short it until it gets to the right spot. And they won't go solvent, or go insolvent. But if some of these smaller banks that were following the trend, and they don't have the same backing, they're not going to be able to afford the capital requirements of the margin call, and they won't be able to deliver the silver. And I think that's what's happening right now. I think it's a very tongue-in-cheek game where they're trying to get rid of smaller banks. And this is the way to do it. In retail, all we see is, oh my God, silver prices are going berserk. So, oh yeah, if you swipe up, it'll go to a different person. We're not used to that in my other formats, but it's definitely like that I've done that to myself watching on my tablet. I don't know, what else? Right, Julie, what else? Anything else, Julie? Julie has nothing else to add. Where are we at with the halt on China exporting silver? What's going on with the China halt of silver? We'll get an updated look.
On January 1st, 2026, China officially replaced its old silver quota system with a strict export licensing regime. This shift has designated silver as a strategic mineral on par with rare earths, significantly tightening the global supply of the refined metal. Current status and impact: export restrictions. Only 44 state-approved companies are now authorized to export silver for the 2026-2027 period.
So basically... Oh, you want to hear more of it, Julie? But yeah, there's 30 million credit line, yada, yada, yada. The old system, they had annual quotas. The eligibility was broader for trade-based, and global exports were the priority. Now, you need a 2-year qualification licensing for the mechanism. There's 44 whitelisted elite firms. I bet you can name some of them that are whitelisted. And then domestic industrial security would be the priority. See, now they're hiding behind security, industrial, and, domestic. Oh, it's an interesting time to be alive, everybody. It's an interesting time to be alive. I just want to see direction one way or another. Can silver break out? Will silver break down? What is going on? Will cryptocurrency, XRP in particular, as it's, let me check, at $2.14, can we hold this $2.14 and make a run? Are we going to fall below $2.12? Or the line in the sand right now is 210.8. You come back below there, you don't want to be in that, trust me, you don't want to be down there. Because then it's a slippery slope very quickly. Did I see Trump's plan to stop institutions from buying single-family homes? I did see that. I definitely seen that. My question is, what happens to all of the vacant single-family homes that are being built that nobody's buying? That's the only question I have. Like, does that mean the government comes in for pennies on the dollar? I was always wondering how that works. I always wonder how that works. Let's see. Also, if it makes you wonder if that's not part of the reason USDT has been so high, supposedly even retail was using USDT for shopping, etc. Certainly would make you wonder, Nick. I wonder about a lot of this stuff myself as well. Joseph, thank you so much for sending the 100 jewels. Didn't go unnoticed, my friend. Thank you for the high five. I meant to say something about it because it popped up a minute ago. Then I forgot because I was saying something. But thank you for the 100, well, on here it calls them, what, rubies for me. But I know that you buy jewels. But thank you for the 100 jewels with the high five. Appreciate it. Teamwork makes the dream work. If we could not get Satoshi, Bitcoin, how can we take micros? Maybe a stupid question. Not terribly stupid. It's actually a good question that needs some thought, actually. XLM's line in the sand. Let's see the updated spot it's in. We're above the line in the sand right now. Because right now, if we get a volatile movement to the top side and don't fall out here, which is a very big possibility. But right now we're bouncing off of that line in the sand as we speak. If you don't want a further drop, just in my opinion, we have to hold. If we don't want a further drop, this isn't loading. By the way, give it up for TradingView and their horrendous new update. Just give it up for him. I know Nick is loving it. Nick and Scotty are probably loving it just as much as I am. Oh, it's phenomenally bad. But hey, great job. Line in the sand is around 22.5 cents. If that breaks, then you have to come back down to the liquidity box at 21.5. And then if that breaks, you're looking at a back test around 20 cents on the breakout of the falling wedge. And what we're looking to do is get above 25 cents and get the hell out of this liquidity area for XLM. Let's see. If we could not, what is our line in the sand? Any idea why IOTA ripped like that? It's ahead. I think that's what we're setting up possibly in the market, hopefully, but it came all the way back down. I mean, it went up to 13.8 and then it came all the way back down to 11. It's either exhaustion or the start of something greater around the market. Because I'm expecting something volatile out of this market. Like I said, when you're looking at the metals market and precious metals, and we can very well make a new high, which is very easily to do. But I'm seeing a lot of top, like it's going up, down, back up, and making another top. You know, we're seeing a bunch of tops, like top, top, top. When I'm seeing it in crypto, you're seeing down, back up, down, back. So you're seeing the inverted printings. On those, you're seeing the, you know, the topping printings. It's a big difference. Now, both can go, one can go up to the next level and the other can come down farther. But the bottom line is they're making, one's making inverted imprints, the other one are making topping imprints. You know? It's like, hey, there's bear tracks and there's a bull, but the bear tracks are suggesting that there is a bear within the vicinity. Like a bear is looming. We see the tracks. Just like the bull has gotten out of the what the hell do they call their holding area? They've gotten out of the stall or whatever the hell they call it. They've gotten out of their confines, and the bull is looming in crypto. As to where the bear, we can see the tracks. We see the imprints. Now it's going as to where crypto's going. You know, it's making the opposite. And that's what you want to see. I know it's a horrible representation like this, but that's the truth. I haven't had a chance to look at SHX either, Marie. I haven't chatted about it at all, to be honest with you. I've been so focused on like trying to draw the correlation. If in fact we're getting ready for a rotational flip, or if this is just, hey, a cool-off period, which it'll end up being in the end. It'll still be. At the moment, I do not hold Dolly Varden or silver, or Silvercorp Mining, because they were my speculative ones. When we get into these ranges, I don't like to hold my speculative ones until they prove it one way or the other. So I do not at the moment. Not because I'm not going to hold it in the future. It's just I felt uncomfortable because we're in an ascending wedge. I sold out a lot of my metals, as you know. So I don't hold nearly what I used to. I'm waiting for a cool-off period, if in fact that's happening, or confirmation that this is not a cool-off period. Well, not my metals, my mining stocks I've sold for some profit. I've been open about it, though. You know, I was up like 400%, so it was time to start on some things. And then overall it was up. I made more through mining stocks than I think I made through YouTube in the whole year. Well, way more than YouTube, but through my other income too. It was close. Outside of crypto, obviously. But no, yeah. I'm waiting for this to see exactly how we're going to go. So Dolly Varden, I want to see if it breaks down out of this ascending wedge and gives a further opportunity. I want to see if it's speaking to something, because it's making me uncomfortable that this is breaking down right now. And this was one of them that showed a pretty nice inverse head and shoulders, but now it's looking like it could be more of a topping formation. And this ascending wedge makes me not sit easy. I know B2 Gold, well, B2 Gold's down on 1/4%, but it put in a 2 candlestick reversal pattern yesterday. And until it makes that back up, no, I'm not trusting it, because it did it from $4.70. And yeah, it came up a little bit today, but, you know, it's down 26 cents. So I want to see it do something. Pull up silver with the RSI and overlap XRP. Very interesting. It is very interesting. It is very interesting. No, the way that they're all sitting, Nick, is Scotty, is fascinating. It's fascinating because they're both seemingly, depending on which way you look at it, the only difference is in the monthly time frame. As it works, crypto has cooled off in a big way. It's gone down to oversold. It's in a very optimistic spot, especially with where the weeklies are set up. As to where silver and gold and the mining stocks, I've never seen the monthlies as shit out of luck as they are right now. And the funny thing is, Dolly Varden was the same way in the monthly, and it's contracted first. It's one of the first ones to break down and start to pull down from a monthly perspective in the stock RSI, the stochastic RSI. So it's one of the early ones. So it's a headliner, because that one in the daily, in the monthly, as all the rest are still up, it pulled from overbought. Now it's come out of that area, and where the rest of them are still in that multi-month severe overbought, this has come down to 67. So XRP backed by silver at some point. I don't want to go as far as to say that, but indirectly it will be. That's why they brought the RWAs to the ecosystem. Indirectly, you'll probably be able to make that case. But yeah, I guess that's all I can really say about these points. Like, we just have to watch and be very, very mindful of what we're doing right now. Were we stupid for not buying into the oil stocks? Maybe. Because maybe we won't come down as far as we want. And maybe it's our opportunity, but we can only follow the technicals like we see them. And right now we very well could be having a reversal. But we have to technically wait until it either comes down and retests $49 a barrel, or goes up to 66, because we're in what looks like a descending wedge right now. It's actually, what's the number? 53 right now, because we could be in a falling wedge. So it puts a caveat into some of our stuff, because the monthly is oversold. The weekly is just pushed out of oversold. Murphy's is a little over-exaggerated compared to like Northern Oil and Gas. From a monthly, it's completely overbought. Just like kind of like metals, and the weekly is pushing down. Northern Oil and Gas, the weekly is pushing down, and the monthly significantly oversold. So I would think, we're looking at it from that perspective too. Like there's a psychological shift going on. The U.S. dollar I talked about yesterday would have a little bit of expansion. How far it goes, we don't really know. But it has expanded out almost to 99 today now. And that's a direct correlation to, remember, gold and silver doesn't actually go up. The US dollar just continues to be debased, devalued, run out of town, however you want to put it. And it gives the illusion that the US, that gold and silver, the price is actually going up. But really all that's happening is our dollar is being devalued at an alarming level. If I'm being honest. It's at an alarming level. So, and right now the DXY is surging. The DXY is trying to come up to a resistance, the next layer. And if we get above this 99.1, we're off to the races here for a little bit, folks. We could go all the way up to, possibly all the way up as high as 102, which I think is a stretch. But if you're trying to keep people to run out of our bonds and stuff, you're going to have to make sure this price is, you know, up a little bit. So I would not put it past them. So I'm saying I'm looking at all these trades as if what needs to happen for how everything is set up. And this is the best I can come up with. And yeah, it seems to go against the grain, but it's the best I can come up with. And the one good thing is we're usually ahead. We look stupid at first, but we usually end up miles ahead. One XRP is divisible into 1 million drops. Why would you need that many drops for a $10 token? It would only make sense if XRP would be in the tens of thousands, right? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. What year is the XRP Future Millionaire Yacht Party?
You don't really like those?
I don't know. No, they're talking about more of like I buy the place on the Great Lakes, and then we all have a universal place to meet up and just hang out on the big body of water.
Well, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's my idea. That we would buy a
Get a
place and then
riverboat.
everybody could just come in, but it would be you screw it up.
Like Jabby Nooner?
Kind of.
XRP.
It would just be our. That's my plan for this community if we ever get to where we need to go, and I believe we will. We've moved mountains so far, but now we gotta get to the top of the moved mountains. Yeah, nope, I'm not interested in the sharks either. That's why I say the Great Lakes. We'll do it on the Great Lakes. Like, my big problem is I want to go to all these different countries, but I am not flying over open water, and I don't know if I'll ever get on a plane again. I've had too many dreams about me ending up in the Hatchet-style scenario, and I'm on some abandoned island. Which I don't think I would fare very... I think if I could get down the landscape, I'd be fine. You know, it would be kind of weird not to... I'd have to do my show at Wilson. I'd have my own friend, Bob. Bob the Coconut. And he'd be my... I'd have to talk to him and do my daily analysis. Let's see. What else? Let's see if anything in the news that I've missed. So let's see world news right now. Senate votes to curb military action in Venezuela and rare Trump rebuke. Not surprised. Let's see some news we can use. World news and finance. Yeah, I know WFI, everybody's talking about that. Yada, yada, yada. How about silver news? Silver falls as traders brace for wilder index rebalancing. TDS takes another swing at shorting silver, looking for a drop to $40 in the next 3 months. I've seen this too, which is crazy. TD Securities published their latest trade saying they were shorting silver futures and looking for sharply lower prices within the next 3 months. That's another thing that gets you thinking. You know, that's another thing. It makes you wonder why they would do this. So they shorted it when it was at $78. So now look where the price is at. It's not seemingly been able to come back above there in the last couple of 24 hours since this movement. I mean, it's quite interesting that short was taken out, and that was a big short. Now it's either to trick the retail investor, or they're seeing something similar to what we're seeing with the rotational reversal. I don't know about $40, but absolutely happy, Fox. You were right about that. Let's see. So the other thing I wanted to see was silver short margin calls if hits this price. Because there's a lot of them that have been taken out. I mean, it's going to be hard to get them because they don't like to share this information. So it says specific silver price that triggers a universal margin call for all short sellers does not exist as the margin requirements in equity. But we're not looking at a full margin. So such as approaching the recent high of $84. That would be bad, which it did. But it came back down, as we know. So far, it's come back down. That doesn't mean it's going to continue to come back down. So the CME increased, and it was at 30%, but now they increased the capital requirements to like 43% as of today. So, let's see. So yeah, I expect though at some time, I don't know if we'll continue a short squeeze now, but at some time I expect these prices to continue to appreciate for silver. We're going to hit triple digits at some point. We will. Never, or Furby said, what trade went into red? What, XRP? Or any trade, and for that matter. Let's see. No, XRP's at 215 now, so he must have been talking about something else. Oh, the NASDAQ short, gotcha. I got two feelings about the NASDAQ if you short it right now. You might have to pull your nuts off the floor. If it doesn't break down in this ascending or this like sideways and up consolidation, this slight one, there's a chance that what I'm seeing is, you know, retest possibly. It's dropped 91 points, but it's either going to fall out here and you're going to look like a very smart man, because I do see that on the charting, the way it's set up. Or it's going to make this weird, unrealistic hook back up. And that's what the Russell 2000 kind of did. Except the Russell 2000 was more on an angled uptrend. The S&Ps, they're kind of the same. The Dow's a little more upsloping, but similar. But they all look like trash overall. They're all so overextended, but... You know, like Venezuela as a perfect example, right? They further got devalued with what happened with the USA. What happened to their stock market? The Venezuelan stock market went up 100% since the capture of their president. But their money's been devalued by about 50% more. So, Happy Fox, that is the strategy of what they want. They want everybody to be so exhausted in the markets, they don't know what's up and down. That's why I try to build my own narrative, and if it fits, it fits. If it breaks the narrative, we approach it from there. Other than that, I can't really do much else. Yeah. You know, it's a strange and tricky thing. But I'm going to go because I want to hang out with Julie. It's almost 1 o'clock. It's the right time to get off of this live. And it's been fun. We had a lot of people in here. Hopefully one day some of you will join Tom's Army. Maybe you'll be a part of the classes. Take a look on YouTube and take a read in the membership sections. And, you know, something's going to be starting soon. So I'll talk more about that in the days to come. But there is a little bit of insight to start. So be blessed, everybody.